Hi, I'm James, and I made Mighty Marbles, a physics-based marble game where you are the level. It's inspired by children's physics toys like Screwball Scramble or Kong Man. In this video, I'm going to go over lots of the data, and hopefully you'll learn something which will help you, or if you're just interested in how the numbers went, you'll be an interesting peek behind how the little indie game went. My long-term goal is to become a full-time indie dev. However, I didn't really expect Mighty Marbles to get me there by itself. So I was really just hoping to get sales, and I was really hoping to get a positive reception for it. My line of thought is 30 to 50k of lifetime sales for the game would really make a case for me making more, and more than that would really start to put me into the vicinity of a full-time dev. If you're making a game, I strongly recommend using an online wishlist calculator to determine a ballpark figure for how your game might go. I'll put a link to one in the description. Using it means that you won't have a lot of disappointment if it doesn't go the way that you hoped. A lot of people overestimate what they think their game may do, and just getting a sense of reality really helps so that when you do release, you're not disappointed. So how many wishlists did I launch with? Well, I had 4,500. I feel like that was pretty good for somebody like me as an indie. However, I am aware it's well short of the 7,000 to 10,000 that's recommended. I didn't really see a path to that 10,000 for me without putting in a lot more time, and I really wanted to release this so that I could move on to other projects. I don't really have a large social media following, so for marketing it was really about trying to do something every day or two and just being consistent, and occasionally I had a few things that went semi-viral, nothing really huge. If somebody's interested in how I did that with the wish lists, leave a comment and I'll make a video just on how to accumulate wish lists if you don't have a following. If you want to estimate a game's wish lists, you can just go to SteamDB, have a look at how many followers they have and multiply it by about 30 to 50. I find for very low numbers there's more variance, but as the number of followers gets sort of above 50, it seems to be like a reasonable rule of thumb based on some of the developers I've talked to. On mine, you can see little spikes where I had the semi-viral events, and you can also see a plateau where I really just didn't have time to market because I was just working on the game. I have been worried about the length of my game, and so when Steam Next Fest came, I chose not to do it. I didn't want to make a demo and then have to make demo levels specifically for the demo, so I chose to give it a miss. I wasn't sure how badly that would affect me. I'm sure that some people are going to say, you definitely should have done it, but in the end, I decided not to do it, and this is the result that I had. Now on to the sales, which I'm sure everybody wants to hear about. Now I have sold about 400 units, which I'm reasonably happy with, and that equals about 4k in revenue, and that's gross revenue before anything is taken out of it, so I only see a fraction of that. I sold 76 on the first day and 50 on the second day, and then I had quite a long tail, and even after it stopped being on sale, there didn't seem to really be that much of a drop in sales, and it's continued to sell while it's not on sale. While the first couple of days of sales were a bit less than I'd hoped for, the consistency that it's had over a fairly now long period and a few weeks is something I wasn't expecting and something I'm really happy about. When you set the price, Steam has a system that automatically adjusts the prices for different regions, making it cheaper in some and more expensive in others. One that surprised me was Europe is actually more expensive than the US, so when I saw European sales, I was actually making more than the US sale, and I set the price at $11.99 US, with the expectation most would sell while it was on sale for about 10 US. My wishlist conversion was about 7 to 8% of the 4,500 I launched with turned into a sale. I'm kind of happy with that number. Maybe it would have been a bit higher if I lowered the price, but obviously I'll never really know that. Many sources tell you that getting to 10 reviews is essential, and Steam doesn't treat you like a real game until you do. and I'm fortunate that I got to 10 almost on the first day, and you can see the big spike in discovery queue traffic once that happened. Nearly all of my reviews were positive, which made me really happy. However, once that initial period went, despite continuing to sell what I consider to be fairly strongly, I found it hard to get any more reviews at all. So if you do decide to buy the game, please leave me a review. I would really love to try and get to that 50 reviews. I think that would make a real big difference for the game. Unfortunately, I did have some refunds, and that always hurts when you do have people refunding your game. The majority of people didn't leave a reason for their refund. The ones that did, the biggest reason was that the game was too hard. And I realised that my game looks really simple and really easy when you look at the videos. However, it is quite tricky, so that didn't surprise me. I also got a couple who complained there was no tutorial. Now, I made a tutorial, but I ended up taking it out. I felt that this kind of game where you're exploring a physics toy, experimentation is a real big part of the game. And that feeling of, yay, I solved it, or yes, I worked out how this works, is really a big part of what I'm offering. So I chose to try to make it as simple as possible while not having a tutorial and just letting people know what the controls were. I don't regret this decision, but I do want to try to improve the user experience so they do know what to do. I am expecting Mighty Marbles to sell over quite a long period of time, so I don't just want to leave it. I have 18 more levels sketched, so I do plan to finish those and add them. I'm working on a Switch release at the moment, and I'm also going to get it onto Xbox. The goal will be to try to get those levels ready for the Switch release, and then do a visibility round on Steam. And again, I'll try to split those levels into two things, so I get 2 visibility releases out of it. I've only had a few small content creators play it, so I'm going to continue emailing them and hope that some bigger creators choose to play the game, because I do think that with the positive reviews, if I can reach a wider audience, it will continue to sell, potentially much better than it has sold so far. First thing I'm really happy with was the fact that I could have spent another 3 months adding more levels, but I managed to get over that fear of releasing and released a complete and full game. I was initially going to do early access, but I'm really glad that I didn't, and I'm really glad that I finished the game. I feel like if I had got into early access and not got that many sales, it would have been really hard to put the effort in to finish. So having that finished product really made me proud of what I've done, and means that even if I don't do anything else, I have delivered a full game to everyone. I also think, despite not getting to the 10,000 wish lists, getting to 4,500 for someone who doesn't really have a social following, that was something that I'm actually quite proud of, and I'm happy that I was able to get to that reach. Obviously, I'd like to do better on that in the future, but I still think I did that reasonably well. I mean, you can try this yourself. If you Google Mighty Marbles, really everything on that front page is all about my game, so I'm really happy that I have that good SEO. Buying the domain, I think, really helped with that SEO, and I also put a simple website that I made with a card up there, so I think that those two things that were low effort actually gave a relatively high return. I also think I managed to focus in on what the core experience I was trying to deliver. I wanted to be like you had a toy in front of you in the coffee table, and I feel like I delivered that experience, and I didn't get sidetracked down things like level editors, which would be really nice in the future. But let's face it, those kind of things only really work when you have a large audience, and my 400 sales is just not enough of an audience to support something like a level editor. So the first thing, I don't have remappable controls. It's something I plan to fix, but really I should have had that on launch, so I'm not really that happy with myself about that. Next thing is, I should have made a period between when I was ready to launch and launching to let people know, and so that I could have that time to email creators. Instead, I think probably because of my anxiety, I just hit the release button once Steam said it was available to release, and that was probably not the wisest thing I've ever done. The third thing was releasing my store page before I was ready. I was really excited that people were interested in it on Reddit, and so I all of a sudden thought, I've got to get my store page up. And I wish I had just taken another week or two to really polish that page. The initial one I put up wasn't that great. I think that hurt me on the initial wish lists that I could have had if I had a polished page. The last thing I could have done better was more testing. I really didn't do enough, and that's probably shown by the fact that I patched it 17 times, including ones where I was working on it on Christmas Day. So yeah, that's something that I really wish that I've done, but being somebody who's a solo developer and not naturally good with people, I found that the testing wasn't necessarily the easiest thing for me to do. Now, I was actually working on Rogue Realms before I even started Mighty Marvels, and Mighty Marvels was meant to be a smaller test project. It took me a lot longer than I expected, so I really want to go back and finish Rogue Realms. I really believe in that game. It's a cross between Civilization and Dwarf Romantic, and I'm trying to get that feel that you can build a civilization and not need to invest weeks of your life into it, like the same way that Civilization, you can easily spend a week on a really large game of that, whereas I want to try and make it more of a micro, 2 to 3 hour experience. If that interests you, please do consider wishlisting it on Steam. At the end of the day, while I obviously wish that it sold more, and who doesn't wish that with their own game, I'm really happy with how it went. It's really encouraged me to want to make more games. I do think the Mighty Marvels is going to sell for quite a long period of time. It's a very evergreen game. I'd love if you followed the channel and subscribed. It means a lot to me. I often make tutorials on Unity, Blender, and I also make occasional videos on gamedev. Of course, I obviously put updates on my own game. Hope you have a great day, and if you have any questions, please feel to leave a comment or drop in my Discord and say hi. Bye!